Hey, how's it going guys? My name's Daniel, aka HashLips, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to take a look at some of the updates to the game that I'm busy building. Last weekend, I really wanted to update some of the game mechanics, especially when it comes to communicating with some of the NPC characters in the game. As you can see in this building, this art studio, we have an NPC character right there. And so we can go ahead in the main view. Let's play the game. And if we go ahead and walk into the gallery, we can go ahead, walk right up to this NPC character and be great. So this is kind of the game mechanic that I wanted to focus on more. And today I'm going to explore that. So the biggest challenge for me was to think about something that the character needs to do, right? So this game needs to unfold in a certain way. And when I say that, obviously there's going to be a main game mechanic. So you're either going to fight some creatures and get to the end goal. But throughout your journey, you need to kind of pick up the pieces, learn more about your environment and such. So that's exactly what I focused on last weekend. And that got me thinking, so the first thing I focused on were these blobs of ink. So we know that this ink is part of the ancient ones, right? The relics from the past, and it's used throughout the game. So I added an NPC character, and then when you walk up to it, it will turn to you. And the first thing it will say is it will basically go ahead and greet you. And then present you with a bottle. And this bottle you'll be able to fill up with ink. And then as soon as you have done that, you should be able to sell this to the gallery. And this is an interesting dynamic because now you have something to do and you also have this kind of ink bottle that you can carry with you. And whenever you see a puddle, you can fill it up and exchange it for some sketchy coins, right? Some money that you can then use throughout the game. So let me go ahead and show you how that works. And let me just open up this bigger. Okay, so let's make our way over to those ink puddles. They look a bit bland, I have to admit. I did change the design and it's a bit flat. However, let's walk up to the NPC and voila. Hi, I have an extra ink bottle for you to collect some ink. Could you do me a favor and take some to the gallery? So this message does two things. It lets us know that now you've got this new item, which you can see is here on the top right corner, and it's an empty ink bottle. And also it kind of guides you to go back to the gallery. But now I leave this up to interpretation to the player what to do next. So of course you're going to get to the gallery, right? And it's going to be empty, right? The bottle is empty. So I actually want to show you that part, even though it is a bit long-winded to explain this and debug it and walk all this way. But that's okay. So you can see the bottle's still empty. And if I just go here, you'll notice that the message has changed from this NPC. And it now says, do you have some ink for me? And so this is where it becomes interesting. You know, what messages do you show to the player, communicating kind of what they need to do. And so now I notice that I do not have some ink. So I'm going to run all the way here and collect some. Okay, so our bottle looks full. And just for interesting sakes, this is really cool. If I now go back and I filled up my bottle, but I haven't taken it to the gallery, you see the message change as well, saying, great, you filled up the bottle with ink, enjoy the fruits of your labor, and sell it to the gallery. So now the message is clear what we need to do. And so I can take the long walk back. I probably should speed up the walk cycle of the character, especially when you design the game, because it takes long to debug. Usually I move the items closer to one another to test. But let's check it out. And there you go. I don't know if you've heard that, but there was this clear coin sound and it says, oh, why, thank you for the ink. And then you can always bring some more, and there's your 10 sketchy tokens. And now you can see we indeed have 10 tokens. And if we go back, we just see, do you have some ink? So this is really, really cool. And it's this kind of cycle that we need to think about when creating a game experience, right? Guiding the player, not telling them exactly what they need to do, where they need to be exactly, because this is a little conversation, and I call it a NPC loop that will exist within the game, and there will be many of these different journeys or quests that you can follow. For example, if a user comes to the game and they never interact with these characters, they will not have this bottle, and then they might not even collect some money. So that being said, there's an extra thing that I started doing. And so if someone has not figured this out, to get a bottle to get some sketchy coins, I've left some sketchy coins around the map. And so when you approach one, you can see, well, sketchy coin shimmering right there. Today must be brimming with luck. And if we collect it, it's like you collect one coin. So it's not that much, but they are scattered around and they have different values. So you might be lucky and find a whole bunch of them. And so that is one of the interesting, I would say, NPC loop dynamic that I've added. And so I think this is pretty cool. I just want to show you something if you are busy building your game, and this is how I came to solve some of my issues with the variables and kind of things that the player interacts with. I've just made instance variables for the player itself, seeing that the player does not get destroyed between scenes. You can do this in various ways. You can have a dedicated object that you do this on. You can use persistence. You can transfer the variable if you go to the new layout. There's many different ways that you can actually keep that data. The reason why I'm doing everything and keeping track of variables on the character itself is because later when it comes to saving the game, I would like to save the JSON and explicitly save what the character has on itself. And then when you load the game, you load all those characters' variables and states that it's in. And if that's the case, then it's going to be very easy to save and load games later on. Now, how does this NPC loop kind of happen? And I'm just going to briefly talk over this in the event sheet, just so you can get a grasp of what's currently happening. So, of course, we know we've got this info system that we've set up, right? If we hover over one of these triggers, the info is going to pop up. But we need to now kind of manage that loop, right? And that kind of conversational cycle. Now, honestly, how I've done it here is very ad hoc and a bit rough. But I just wanted to get the concept going and see how I can refine it even further and do it a bit better. However, this is how it works. So for each NPC, I'll have their own script and kind of what they need to do. They concern themselves only with what the player's state is at that moment. So as you can see here, we are checking things on the player such as, do they have a bottle? Is the bottle full or not, right? And what stage they are at on this trigger. And so if that's the case, then we know exactly what to do. And therefore, it kind of abstracts the character's interaction with the other NPC player. You'll see that we don't care about the other NPC really in this quote-unquote code, right? It's not really code. But in this event loop, we do not care about the other NPC. Instead, we care about where the player is at and what they have done to get to this point and look at their variables. The same goes for the old man. I don't know what ID to give that. However, for him, it's the same. So we don't concern ourselves with the lady in the gallery. We just look at the player, where the player is at. Does he have an ink bottle or not? And we have to be very careful here because we, in some cases, we're working with hovering over some triggers. In some cases, it's on collision. And so when you're designing your games and construct, just be aware of that. Sometimes you'll need that extra condition to say trigger once while true. Because you can very quickly, doing this in this way, create like an endless loop and then your game just starts bugging out. A very cool tip that I have is if you have an event sheet like this and you do not know if this is creating an infinite loop and it's looping over itself many times, add an action that plays a sound. Trust me, you'll quickly find out that that is looping hard. And also, for those of you who don't know, if you click on play, you can actually click on debug layout. And so what this gives you is the actual game, but you get more information about it. So for example, if I select the player, I can see all the player's variables. And so if I walk over, let's go to the ink puddle, you can see here's the dirty variable. And if I go over it, it's 1. And you can also see my stamina busy counting up. And as I run, it decreases. And so that's just an interesting tip I would like to share with you, especially if you're new to Construct and you kind of finding your way through how it works. Remember, this is not a full-on tutorial. This is for me to share what I'm busy doing on weekends and having some fun. And I have to be honest, it's taking a bit longer than expected because mainly I'm also building on other cool things on the weekends too, which I'll reveal later this year. And on top of that, throughout the week, I'm busy working. So that being said, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, what you would like to see being added next. And I've got a quick glimpse on what you'll see in the next video. It's going to be pretty cool if you look at this map. Have a good day.